Tell me the questions you brought up to your seminary professors and tell me their responses.
So the first one I brought up to them was, it was about Matthew 16:18. Upon this rock I will build my church. And because to me, I was quickly discerning the linchpin of Catholicism is the papacy. It's the authority of the church. And that became very apparent to me very early. And I remember feeling like all I have to do is find one instance where the Pope has contradicted a doctrine officially and all that stuff, and one instance where the church has done all these things or whatever, and the whole thing's going to crumble. Or I had to find a way to poke a hole in that idea by understanding the real way to interpret Matthew 16, which I'm sure my professors were going to tell me.
Yeah.
So when I asked her, it was an Old Testament professor, because the New Testament guy was gone that day. And I said to her, what do we believe about this? And she said to me, well, that's about Peter's faith, right? The faith is the rock upon which Jesus will build the church. And I said, well, why do we believe that? Because so many of these quotes that I'm seeing from the church fathers make it pretty clear that it's Peter. And her answer to me was, well, because we're Protestants, duh. And I remember thinking, that is not a great answer.
Do you think she kind of got caught flat-footed and was trying to be humorous?
I don't know. I don't know what her deal was. But she didn't, I certainly didn't laugh when she said that. I kind of looked at her like I had my own deer in the headlights moment there, because I expected her to be able to show me something pretty clearly and pretty easily what this was all about. And she didn't. Then I went to my church history professor, who became the dean of the seminary later. And I started asking him questions about the early church and the papacy and things about what the church believed about the Eucharist. And I was shocked, Matt. He did not come across, and this is a Presbyterian seminary, so typically Reformed. It was PCUSA, so more of the liberal side of things. But his response was, oh, you're thinking about Catholicism. That's wonderful. He's like,
no, it's not.
I was like, no, dude, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to win a convert. And his demeanor about it was not at all like, all right, well, here's what you got to say to convert people. He was like, oh, that's beautiful. And here's where we have a different point of view. But he made it sound very reasonable to be a Catholic, which that caught me off guard. So those were, I think, the two things that really at the seminary level hit me. There was one other instance where I asked a guy who was the chair of a theology department at a different school. This was years later when I was much more closer to converting. Our own denomination was going through chaos, the United Methodist Church, which is a complete disaster right now. And I said to him, without an external authority beyond the scriptures to help us understand how to interpret the Bible authoritatively, what hope is there for us? How are we going to see our way through this mess that we're in? Because this was a mess that related to the lack of authority, ultimately, and then the consequences of that. And he just looked at me and he just goes, sucks to be Protestant, doesn't it? And then he laughed. And I'm like, wow, man, they really don't know what to say. Now, to be honest, to be fair, it wasn't like I was going to church with Dr. James White or somebody like that who would have said, oh, come into my office and I'll tell you.
Yeah. It's not that there weren't answers or even answers that would have convinced you at the time. It's just you weren't getting them.
I wasn't getting them. So I was feeling more and more drawn to Catholicism, but I couldn't let these guys know that. I couldn't let Devin know that.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.